So you already see my presentation and you hear me, right? You hear me properly, that's great. So basically, it's kind of very difficult to compete for attention when Germany goes going recreational and you're having the speech with the company that is cultivating, the only company that is cultivating in Germany right now. So I anticipate that I would have not a huge audience, but at the same time, I'm happy to explain you our experience. So we are cultivating in Portugal. We are one of the few cultivators in Portugal, and I would like to share my experience. I would be extremely grateful if by any chance you would have, I would like to have interactions with the audience. If by any chance you have any question at any stage of my presentation, I would like you to ask the question, okay? So my name is Hanna. I represent Cannexpor Pharma. Cannexpor Pharma is one of the very few licensed company for cannabis cultivation in Portugal. Actually, in Portugal, there are 18 companies that are having a cultivation license. Very one of you have indoor cultivation, and we are one of very few who are doing indoor cultivation in Portugal. So basically, I would like to share my experience from the perspective of cannabis cultivation company today, and I would like to pay and give a couple of tips to cannabis distributors who are looking for cannabis product, what they should pay attention to when it comes to supply of medical cannabis. I would also like to share some our experience of a couple of strategic decisions that we made when we were planning our facilities. And I think this strategic decision that we made is very important for the whole supply chain. And also, I would share my personal view of how Portugal and local cultivators in Portugal, not only in Portugal but elsewhere in Europe, would benefit from Germany going recreational. That would be pretty much the subject of my presentation. So, first of all, obviously, I would like to tell about the Cannexpor Pharma. So basically, we are a privately owned EU group of companies. As I said, we are licensed pharma indoor cultivation in Portugal. Once again, 18 companies that have license right now, and we are one of those, and we are one of very few who cultivates indoor. We have our own distribution branch in Germany, in specific in Berlin. We have GDP there and wholesale narcotic license. In comparison to other companies, we've obtained those licenses to actually facilitate the process of all import and exporting procedures. So basically, initial intention wasn't to do the B2C distribution to patients in Germany, but mainly to allow us to sell to whoever we want in Germany our product. And we are obviously focusing on European medical cannabis markets. Germany obviously is the biggest one, but at the same time, the new markets appear like Australia, like New Zealand, all of the markets that comes into the play of medical cannabis supply, they are our potential customers, right? Right now, I'll briefly tell you about what we have right now and the way we structured our project. So basically, at this specific stage, we have operational R&D facility. So basically, we licensed our R&D facility. At this specific stage is kind of small. It's GCP licensed, but at the same time, we are one of very few companies in Portugal who already cultivate. So at this specific moment, we have 10 indoor cultivation rooms. They are operational since November 2020. And we already executed 4 cultivation cycles. Initially, the facility that we projected, the one that we are right now operating, was R&D. So basically, our main intention was to develop genetics, to test our strains, to make sure that we have a proven and consistent. Okay. Yes. So basically, in our operational R&D facility that we are operating right now, what we've done, we've developed 6 high THC genetics. So basically 6 strains, sativa, hybrid, indica, whatsoever, right? So we have a range from 18% to 28%. We've obtained the genetics on the level of 28%. When we compare it to everybody in Europe, basically this is kind of high level of THC. Not a lot of companies have it. We have it, and we're really proud of it. Moreover, we obtain non-irradiated purity of the product. So basically, we meet the needed level of microbiology, and our product, when we supply it to Germany, it doesn't need irradiation because the level of microbiology we already meet. And we also proved the consistency of genetics with not more than 10% deviation. So basically, as I said, we executed already 4 cycles. We have every cycles similar to the next one. So basically, our strain 1 always have 25% plus minus 10. Our strain which has 28% always have the exact same characteristics. So basically, this is how the facility look like. So you can see the room itself. Once again, it's a small one, but at the same time, the main intention of this facility was to kind of make sure that we know what we produce, we know our product, we know what clients want, and we can prove that we produce the consistent product. Oh, it even goes there with the video. Okay, sorry, just let me try. No, never mind, sorry for that. So at the same time we do the indoor cultivation. So basically we have already operational facility and we are building the indoor and GMP facility at the same time, right? So basically when it comes to the facility that we are building 3,000 square meter indoor cultivation, we are building 3,000 square meter GMP processing and extraction. Per year, we would be able to produce 4 tons of the product, and we would be able to produce 150,000 of bottles of extracts, right? So basically, this is the capacity of the product that we would be able to produce in our facility in 2024. 2024 is the year when we would be operational 100%. So basically, we would produce the full capacity of the product that we projected. So the facility that we are currently building would be operational in Q1 2023. And in Q3 2023, we would have the first harvest from this facility. So basically, these are the pictures that we have. So this is the facility that we projected, once again operational in Q1 2023. This is the, let's say, 2 months ago, we took this picture of the construction that is ongoing. Construction is kind of on the early stage, but at the same time, we positively show that it will be ready in Q1 2023. And this is land before the construction started, and you can see our small operational facility in place. So we own this land, and basically this is where the construction is happening. Frequently asked question. So basically, we already sell into Germany. We kind of starting this process, and there are a couple of answers that always. Okay, I can actually probably do without the presentation. I'll tell about our company and what we are doing and our experience, okay, because that would be easier, right? So basically, about our company. So we don't have GMP yet. We are a licensed company with the GACP facility, right? The first question is the most logical. Do you have GMP or not? Not, we do not have GMP yet. We're going to have it only the next year. However, even so we don't have GMP, we still can do sales of our product if we outsource these services. So basically in Portugal, there are a couple of companies that already obtained GMP, and we just outsource this part of the process. So basically we are ready to sell in case we use this help of our partner to outsource the GMP part. So have we already been selling to Germany? So basically through the moment we started our project, we've already went through a lot of regulatory procedures, and we expect our first sales to happen at the end of this year. So Q4 is the period of time when we're going to sell our product. So basically right now we're in discussion with the German companies, with German distributors for kind of the partnership when it comes to the sales. Have we obtained the Amrat V for our product? Actually, since our product is non-irradiated, so basically we've obtained the needed level of purity of the product, we don't need Amrat V, because Amrat V is needed when you irradiate the product. We do not irradiate the product, once again, because our product is very pure. That's why we don't need to have Amrat V. Do we have stability studies? So basically, if you are a distributor, you know that you need stability studies to to place your product into the market. That's exactly the process we are working on right now. So basically, we've started the process of collecting stability studies, and since we intend to sell the first products in Q3, Q4 this year, until that moment, we will already have either 3 or 6 months, 6 months stability studies. So. I would like to share our experience from the position of cannabis cultivators on how we started the whole facility planning and the experience that we got when we did it, right? Because usually when there is commercial transaction happens, cannabis distributors are telling us that the price is very high, the procedures are very complicated, some of the steps that we took are not that much significant. But from the perspective of cannabis cultivator, I would like to explain some couple of decisions that we made strategically, right? So basically the first decision that we made is that we've decided to cultivate indoor, right? At first point, it looks not really logical because we locate in Portugal, sun 365 days per year, always sun's shining, right? But we still made a decision to do the indoor cultivation. It might seem not logical, but our logic was the following. When we started the project, we knew about the monography, German monography, and we knew about 10% deviation. So we knew that we need to produce consistent product. Consistency was the crucial for us, so this was the critical point to make sure that we would be able to produce that product, right? Because of this, if you produce consistent product, the only option you can do it, you can do it in the controlled environment. So only if you control the cultivation conditions, so only if you cultivate on the 20% degrees temperature, 60% humidity, if you make sure that in your facility this temperature is always the same, then you have the product consistent and stable. So basically, when we were choosing what cultivation option to choose, what cultivation way to choose, we chose to do indoor, even so we understood that it would be more expensive, but at the same time we understood that only that way we would be able to obtain the German quality, okay? So basically indoor cultivation was one of the, let's say, most important strategic decision for us as a cultivator, right? Then obviously everybody knows that in Germany, to be able to produce cannabis flower, you need to comply with pharmaceutical rules, right? So basically you are building not cannabis facility, you are building pharmaceutical facility, right? With all of the GMP steps in place and that kind of stuff. Everybody knows it, it's not a secret to anybody, but at the same time not a lot of people understand what actually does it mean. Actually, in practice, it means that, sorry, that was scary actually, even for me. In practice, it actually means that your facility is not really flexible. So for instance, when we were planning our facility, we went to Canada, we went to the US, and we were visiting different facilities, different cannabis cultivation facilities. And we saw that, like, for instance, companies had a couple of cultivation rooms, and then in the center they have production area where they processing the cannabis, right? So from the, let's say, efficiency point of view, that was the most logical way of doing. However, due to the peculiarities of pharmaceutical regulation, you simply cannot do that, because according to European regulation, according to GMP regulation, there are requirements to the flows, first of all, and second of all, when you plan in the facility, you need to avoid mix-up or contamination. What does it mean? It means that, for instance, you have a drying room, right? So imagine you have, oh, nice. Imagine you have a batch of 90 kilograms, right? At the drying room, at the same time, you can allocate only one batch. So for instance, if you have 10 cultivation rooms, you need to plan the flow the way that flow is continuous, but at the same time, only one batch locates at the drying room per time, right? So basically, when we were planning the facility, that was very difficult to do the efficient flow, but at the same time continuous, but at the same time GMP compliant, right? As a result, what happened? In our case, to construct our facility, our indoor cultivation facility and GMP processing, it cost us at least we estimate that it costed us 1.5 times higher than if you basically build any facility in Canada or in the US. So basically, in our case, the CAPEX, capital expenses of our facility is 1.5 times higher than any, let's say, Canadian producer, let's say. Something else that we did not expect but anticipated was the time that we need to spend on overcoming all of the regulatory difficulties, right? So basically, yesterday I had a discussion with one of the distributors. When any cannabis project starts the project, we needed to obtain LOI, so letter of intent. That's why Portuguese companies, Australian companies comes to Germany and says, please sign me LOI, I will deliver you the product in 1 year. Maximum 1 year, I would deliver the best product ever. For sure, I would be the one, right? I did this the same, to be very honest. So basically, we anticipated that the process is time-consuming, taking into account that you need to obtain GMP, taking into account that you need to obtain stability study, but we did not anticipate the product would take that much. So in reality, it seems that from the moment you start the project until the moment you actually have some revenues in place, until the moment you actually sell your product, usually it takes 3.5 years. You can actually eliminate this process, so you can slightly optimize this process, but reality shows that usually this is the time that is needed to actually execute the project. So what does it mean for the distributors, right? So for distributors, it means if you, as a distributor, want to sell cannabis flower on the pharmaceutical market, you can consider only indoor cultivation. Why? Because if you intend to have consistent THC-CBD ratios, if you want to have non-irradiated product, only that way of cultivating can guarantee that your product would be stable, consistent, and good. Second of all, since our CAPEX, so basically our operational expenses and capital expenses are more expensive, Obviously, it means that for distributors, the product would also be expensive. So when the Germans, especially now, trying to convince us that in 1 year Germany would have the exact same price as Canada have with the recreational market, it's simply not possible, because once again we spend much more time on operational costs and the capital expenses to make sure that we deliver the product that Germany, you guys, want. And third of all, once again, my suggestion, if you are looking for a cannabis supplier, please consider only the companies with 3 years of experience, because then you won't waste your time and you would be sure that the company you are talking to would deliver you the product the way and the time you want to. So basically, why Portugal? Once again, main two different aspects that companies consider: price and quality. When it comes to the quality in Portugal, quality is exactly the same as Germany, right? So basically, if you supply the product from Portugal, you are positively sure that it would have the exact same requirements as Germany has. When it comes to the price, I know that there are quite a lot of countries elsewhere in Europe that cultivate, like Denmark, Australia right now is cultivating. But since Portugal is, let's say, overall cheap country, the product is still cheaper. So basically, price-wise, we can compete, for instance, with Danish prices, we can compete with Australian prices, and it makes Portugal a very good supplier of medical cannabis. Also, the fact that the regulatory procedures are similar also simplifies the whole process, right? Because, so imagine South Africa, or imagine Lesotho. Right now, the companies, there are some GMP suppliers that want to supply to Europe, right? I know that there are some transactions already happening, but all of the time that you need to think about how to bring this product, you need to make sure that you know the whole process in place. So you need to make sure that you understand every single detail of the whole transaction, because otherwise the process would be either expensive or long or almost not doable. Why also Portugal is very important, and it's good, I guess, because we have developed infrastructure for complemented services. So basically, we have lab that is GMP certified. We have logistics partner that is GDP certified. So basically, this is the partner that can deliver the pharmaceuticals. And we have the GMP processing company. So for instance, in Portugal, when you kind of talk to the cannabis cultivators that do not have their own GMP, there are always a player that can help you with getting GMP services. Because of this, Portugal became one of the biggest exporters of medical cannabis in 2021. I guess Portugal exported in total 30 tons, I guess. And that makes me believe that Portugal would be one of the leaders when it comes to cannabis supply in the whole Europe. So what are the common misconceptions? As I said, usually people think that, okay, since Portugal have sun, ideal, perfect climate condition, Portugal is an amazing country to cultivate cannabis. That's kind of doubtful. Statement, because once again, a perfect flower, if we are talking about flower as it is, need controlled conditions, right? So basically, you can obtain those conditions only in controlled environment, and sun do not have anything with that. Isn't that cheaper to cultivate outside of the EU and simply bring the product to the Europe? So once again, the whole import and exporting process is very time-consuming and complicated. So make sure that you know every single detail of the transaction. Make sure that you know every single detail how to import or to export product, because there are quite a lot of experience. For instance, Israel, right? I don't know if you know it or not, but Israel at some point allowed importing of medical cannabis, right? So they allowed products to be delivered to Israel, right? But at the same time, they established level of They established requirements towards pesticides, and none of the lab in Europe could do this result, right? So none of the lab in Europe could deliver testing for these pesticides. What does it mean? It means that the company has some product in place. The company can export there, but they simply could not find the lab that execute the specific pesticides, and because of this, non-transaction happened. So because of this, I would highly recommend you, before deciding on importing from any country elsewhere in Europe, to consider all of the regulatory steps that you need to take. And once again, main question any cannabis cultivator is being asked: do you have GMP? Once again, as explained, GMP obviously is needed for exporting, GMP obviously is needed for importing, but at the same time, this is the services that can be outsourced. So, future of cannabis supply in Europe, recreational market. Everybody is talking about that. Benjamin was talking about that today. And I would like to share my point of view, my vision. Everybody knows, most of the people know that there is a prohibition to import-export recreational cannabis due to United Nations Convention. So basically, when Germany goes recreational, there would be no transaction on importing and exporting of recreational product. That's, everybody knows it. This is just a fact, right? So basically, that's what's gonna happen for sure, because this is the international law. However, according to, once again, I'm sharing my personal point of view, what might happen? So one thing that might happen is that the cultivation would happen in Germany, right? Like Canada did, right? So basically, in case the cultivation would happen in Germany, what Germans would need to do? First of all, Germans would need to define that cannabis has separate regulations. So it's not pharmaceutical, it's not food, it's not anything. So basically, Germany, in that case, if they decide to cultivate the product in Germany, they would come up with the separate regulations specifically on cannabis. So basically, it would mean that no GMP rules needed, completely new licensing requirements. In that case, knowing Germany a bit, most likely the government would announce some tender for cannabis cultivation. So basically, there would be a process when the company would apply, and some would be granted to cultivate the cannabis in Germany. However, with this scenario, most likely after the market would open recreationally, there would be no product in Germany at all. So let's say if 2024 would be the moment when the Germany goes recreational, until 2028, there would be no product in Germany on recreational market. However, once again, from the perspective of the Portuguese company, we've been talking to different German players, those that are preparing themselves for the recreational market, and what we see, most likely there would be mix, once again, this is our own perspective, there would be mix of medical and recreational market. So what does it mean? So basically imagine 2024, the Germany would go recreational. With this scenario, if Germany would keep the GMP rules for cannabis cultivation and processing, meaning it would mean that supply chain would be exactly the same. So companies are preparing themselves for the following aspects. So basically, the German company are preparing themselves that they're going to bring medical product into Germany. In Germany, they would transform the product into recreational product and then sell it for the medical market. So basically, the flow, the supply chain would be the same. So the medical cannabis product would enter in Germany as medical, then to be transformed in Germany to recreational, and then being sold on the recreational market. With this scenario, obviously, any cannabis cultivator in Europe would benefit significantly, including ourselves, because the demand for the product, especially good quality product, would be very high. And to be very honest, I personally very hope that this solution would happen, because our company would benefit significantly from that. So, I would like to congratulate Germany on going recreational. From our side, we would be happy to participate in this amazing process, and we hope that Portugal would also participate in Germany going recreational. And in case you would need to look for the best product, cannabis flower, for recreational and medical markets, I'm the person who you can talk to, and this is my contact. Yeah, that's basically my presentation. And once again, if you have any question regarding my presentation, I would be happy to answer, because I guess we have like 5 minutes more. Any question?